Is it possible that a solo album by an Asian artist, released 3 years ago, has quietly shaken the foundations of the United States music industry, while many have chosen to remain silent? The question sounds dramatic, even provocative, yet the data that emerged on February 16, 2026 forces us to confront it seriously and academically. When the fanbase account at Rapperjk announced that Jungkook, through the album Golden, officially became the first studio album by an Asian artist to have 2 songs surpass 1.4 billion streams on Spotify, the online world immediately erupted. But what is more intriguing than the uproar itself is not merely the euphoria, but the quiet implications that accompany it. The data included in that post showed that Standing Next to You had just crossed 1.4 billion streams, following 7 Feet Lato, which had previously surpassed 2.7 billion streams. These numbers are not simply symbols of fleeting popularity. In the landscape of the digital industry, 1 billion streams is often regarded as a monumental milestone. Surpassing 1.4 billion twice within a single studio album places Golden in a category long dominated by major Western names. Moreover, 2 other songs from the same album, 3D and Left and Right, have also surpassed 1 billion streams. Mathematically, this means that one solo album has generated 4 songs with multi-billion streaming achievements, an extraordinary consistency that is rare even among global superstars. The album was released in November 2023, a period when Jungkook was at the peak of public expectation as the youngest member of BTS embarking on his solo career. Yet not long after the initial promotions, he entered his mandatory military service. In entertainment industry theory, a long hiatus typically reduces exposure, diminishes momentum, and causes the public to shift to the next trend. However, what happened was the opposite. Golden not only endured but continued to grow organically on global streaming platforms, especially Spotify, which over the past decade has become a barometer of international pop music dominance. This phenomenon raises a deeper question. Is this merely fandom loyalty, or is there a structural shift in global music consumption patterns? The reaction of the ARMY community worldwide offers an initial glimpse. Thousands of comments flooded the announcement post. "Records keep chasing Jungkook even in the military," wrote one fan, as if emphasizing that records are no longer chased by the artist, but the other way around. "Golden is timeless. 2 songs at 1.4 B? Legendary," wrote another. The hashtags #Golden1_4 billion and #StandingNextToYou1_4B quickly trended across various platforms. Major fanbase accounts such as BTS Charts Daily and BTSON Stats confirmed the data almost simultaneously, demonstrating numerical consistency and the validity of the achievement. Yet behind the celebration lies a more complex layer of analysis. The United States music industry has for decades been the global center of gravity. Billboard, the Grammy Awards, and major labels in Los Angeles and New York have shaped the mainstream flow of global taste. In modern history, only a handful of non-Western artists have been able to penetrate this market sustainably. When Asian artists succeed, the narrative is often framed as an anomaly or a temporary wave. But Golden does not exhibit a temporary pattern. It demonstrates endurance. Historically, streaming dominance on Spotify has often been associated with the English language and American market penetration. Jungkook did release English language songs on this album, yet his identity remains firmly attached as a South Korean artist. This means that the success does not erase his origins, but rather expands the definition of who is entitled to dominate global charts. If 2 songs in a single Asian album can surpass 1.4 billion streams, then the global competitive map is no longer entirely centered on the West. There is an emotional dimension that cannot be ignored. Jungkook released Golden as a declaration of his solo identity, separate from the dynamics of the group. In many previous interviews, he described the album as a reflection of his ambition to become a global pop star. Now, while he is fulfilling national duty and away from the spotlight, it is precisely the work itself that speaks the loudest. It is this paradox that makes the story feel almost cinematic. An artist who is not actively performing, yet whose numbers continue to rise every day. For the American industry, this presents a quiet dilemma. Do they acknowledge this as evidence of an increasingly equal globalized music landscape, or choose to view it as the result of extreme fan engagement? The fact that 4 songs from a single album have surpassed 1 billion streams indicates a widespread consumption pattern, not merely concentrated on one viral single. This means listeners return, replay, and sustain the relevance of these songs for years. In industry terminology, this is called longevity, and longevity is the most valuable currency in the streaming ecosystem. Furthermore, this achievement reinforces Jungkook's position as one of the most successful Asian soloists of all time on Spotify. If BTS previously broke numerous group records, then Golden serves as proof that such power can be translated into the individual realm. This is culturally significant, as it refutes the assumption that Asian artists' success in the West depends solely on collective strength or temporary fandom phenomena. The question now is no longer whether Jungkook is successful, but what this success means for the next generation. Will American labels become more open to Asian artists? Will cross-cultural collaborations become the new norm, rather than the exception? Or will we instead witness increasingly fierce competition for limited global attention? Ultimately, Golden is not merely about the numbers 1.4 billion or 2.7 billion. It is a symbol of shifting power dynamics within the music industry. It is proof that the digital era has leveled the stage, enabling an artist from Seoul to dominate playlists in New York, Los Angeles, and London without physically being present there. And perhaps most striking is the fact that all of this is happening while the artist is publicly inactive, that if records continue to arrive even when he is not actively promoting himself, then what will happen when Jungkook returns from military service? Will the American industry remain silent, or be compelled to acknowledge that the center of gravity of global pop has shifted? Amid numbers that continue to rise every second, one thing becomes clear: Golden truly cannot be stopped. And the question that remains for all of us is whether we are witnessing the peak of a phenomenon, or the beginning of a new chapter of Asian music dominance on the world stage. And it is at this point that the narrative becomes even more compelling and unsettling. For if we observe the historical patterns of the global music industry, dominance is usually born from massive exposure, world tours, television promotions, endless interviews, and aggressive radio campaigns. Yet in this case, there is no active promotional circuit, no award show stage currently being attended, no stadium tour taking place. What exists instead is a music catalog that continues to be played, algorithms that continue to recommend, and millions of listeners who consciously choose to press the play button again. Is this not an anomaly worthy of deeper examination? Spotify as a platform does not operate on sympathy, but on user behavior data. If 7 is able to surpass 2.7 billion streams and standing next to you crosses 1.4 billion, it means there is a consistent pattern of repeated consumption across countries and demographics. This is not merely a fleeting viral explosion on TikTok or a seasonal momentum. This is endurance, a durability that, in entertainment industry scholarship, often distinguishes a sensation from a legend. Furthermore, the success of Golden opens a discussion about redefining the center of pop culture. For decades, global validation often came from America, yet now the numbers speak louder than mainstream narratives. Is it possible that we are witnessing a subtle yet permanent shift, where legitimacy is no longer entirely determined by traditional institutions, but by the collective participation of global listeners? In the end, this phenomenon is not only about Jungkook as an individual, but about how technology, fandom, and the quality of music production converge in one historical moment. And when he eventually returns from military service, an even larger question will arise. Will these records become the foundation for an even greater wave? Or will they become the turning point that forces the industry to rewrite the definition of global dominance?